let's move on. We are going to go to the story, Chewy, because you mentioned this at the start of the show, and there's some evidence for you in here. I like Baba's message here. I quit smoking last year after 6 years of 2-pack a day. Whoa. Couldn't have done it without a vape. Heated tobacco is a scam. Taking us backwards. Oh, where'd that go?
Oh, sorry, I clicked. Sorry.
Taking us backwards. Hashtag vape like cig lighter. Okay. And so on breakfast this morning, we're starting it from 0000. So I'll just let Jenny May explain the whole thing. I'll just sit back and I'll watch her go.
Mystery surrounds the government's independent advice on tobacco control. Associate Health Minister Casey Costello slashed tax on heated tobacco products in half. Despite warnings from Treasury, it'll play directly into the hands and profits of big tobacco. But the minister backs HTPs as a tool to meet Smoke-Free 2025 and says she has independent advice to prove it. Except she's not willing to reveal where that advice comes from. In the quest for some clarity, we've gone to Dr. Leon Shihab, a smoking cessation expert from the University College of London. Good.
National's worst nightmare, a smoking cessation expert.
Morning, and thank you for your time this morning.
Good morning. Well, it's good night here, but good morning.
Yes. Now, you've done a comprehensive summary of all the available research when it comes to these tools. What did your first analysis reveal about the health impacts of heated tobacco products?
Okay, so I contributed to 2 systematic reviews. One was published in the Cochrane Library, where we looked at available studies. And the first thing to point out is there are not that many studies around, and that most of the studies that we looked at were in fact sponsored by the tobacco industry. What it shows is, as you would expect, because heated tobacco products don't burn tobacco, they heat them up, they do expose users to lower levels of toxicants and cancer-causing chemicals. But these studies are quite short-term, and they're usually conducted within a laboratory in a confined environment. And for that reason, we actually decided to do an independent study to assess the likely health effects of heated tobacco products. I can tell you a bit about those. The study basically looked at seasoned long-term users of heated tobacco products and compared their levels of exposure to harmful excipients among e-cigarette users, as well as with people who don't use anything at all. And what we find is it does show reductions in toxicant levels, but they're not as great the reductions as you would see with e-cigarettes. So for one of these cancer-causing chemicals, they're called tobacco-specific nitrosamines, we see levels that are higher than you would see in e-cigarette users who are long-term users or people who don't use anything at all.
So long story short, they're not as good as e-cigarettes or vapes, but they are a bit better than cigarettes. But what he's saying is the message we're being told as to how much better they are, that's a bit of an exaggeration.
From the research that you did from independent studies came the results being that e-cigarettes were better than HTPs when it comes to toxins. Is that correct?
That's right. So you do see a reduction for people who use heated tobacco products, but they're not as great as you see with people who use e-cigarettes. And the key difference, of course, between e-cigarettes and heated tobacco products is that they still contain tobacco. E-cigarettes contain nicotine, medicinal nicotine, whereas heated tobacco products, they use little sticks. They're called heats, and the IQOS system, I think that's available or was available in New Zealand. And they contain tobacco. And obviously, therefore, it's a bit more complex what people inhale when they use these devices. So
there's the first point, that then the e-cigarettes are better chemically, and they don't they're better for getting off than so it goes cigarettes, heated tobacco products, e-cigs or vapes as well. Now this continues on for another 90 seconds. I'm just going to, not even 90 seconds, I'm going to keep going because this part of the conversation, does heated tobacco products help people come off cigarettes? Remember, that's the whole thing they're talking about. I will look at any and every alternative to smoking. So does these things actually help people give up cigarettes? That's really the main question.
So I want to go to the second part or the review that you looked into, and that was around smoking cessation. So what did you find out from that, and whether HTPs, heated tobacco products, help people come off tobacco smoking?
Yeah, well, that's a quite a complicated question to honestly answer. The Cochrane review that we conducted actually didn't find many studies at all that looked at this, and there was very limited evidence that they're helpful to help people stop smoking. There is some studies that have, they're not necessarily published yet in the International Tobacco Control Project, which has looked at the use of heated tobacco products among dual users over a long time period, over say 3 years. And what they find is they're quite sticky. In our own
So dual users, meaning cigarettes and still smoking, but also using them over a long time, and who are prolonged users, is what he said.
A laboratory study, we asked people how addictive they thought heated tobacco products were, and they indicated that they were quite addictive to them. And what it suggests is a certain stickiness, that people are probably less likely to stop smoking with them, but rather it may prolong use of other products, including cigarettes. And so compared with e-cigarettes, again, the evidence is much stronger there that they actually help people to stop smoking. Whereas for heated tobacco products, most of the evidence that is being reported usually comes from the tobacco industry. And if you look at independent studies, there's relatively little evidence, certainly from randomized controlled trials, that they are effective.
There you go. So again, we're not going to use absolutes like they're useless, but very clear in the research, independent research, that they are not particularly good at stopping people from smoking, and they are likely to keep people either on the HTPs or smoking as they go along. There's two more short clips. They're only 60 seconds each. But do you want to jump into that first of all, Chewy?
Everything I've read about these products just makes them sound like a shit product.
Yeah.
Like they're just not good at anything that they're supposed to do. It just seems to be a way of like getting tobacco into places where tobacco can't be now. Like it's not. We've done decades of work making smoking not socially acceptable.
Yeah.
And this is a way to keep tobacco limping along because most people will assume it's a vape.
The next part of the conversation, are heated tobacco is more likely to keep people smoking over e-cigarettes or not? Is it more likely to keep people smoking? Again, this is what we want to know. I'm open to any and every alternative to smoking, is what the Prime Minister's been saying.
Well, then we decided to do our own study in a laboratory-based environment to recruit people who have been using these products for a long time. And we asked them various things, including how addictive do you think this product is? And what we find is that compared with the people who use e-cigarettes, those who said who used heated tobacco products said that it was more addictive for them. The other thing that we also found is that people seem to maintain a higher smoker identity. And that's quite important because a smoker identity is something that you want to ideally lose in order to stop smoking completely. Whereas it seems that because behaviorally...
That's important. It's about the identity, the cool factor. So what he's saying is people who use the HTPs, they don't lose their smoking identity. They don't lose the quote unquote cool factor. They're still able to do it versus a vape. It's a different vibe.
Higher smoker identity. And that's quite important because a smoker identity is something that you want to ideally lose in order to stop smoking completely. Whereas it seems that because behaviorally, heated tobacco products are quite similar. You don't use them continuously as you would an e-cigarette use these sticks like it would use a cigarette. People report that their smoke identity is quite strong still, which would suggest to me that they're probably more sticky in terms of the behavioral component because it reminds them of cigarettes, and so they may maintain continued cigarette smoking compared with e-cigarettes where people say, well, my smoke identity is more or less gone, I'm a vapor now. And so they may be less likely to therefore relapse back to smoking after stopped smoking with e-cigarettes.
So that's an interesting thing. That talks about, there's addictions that are chemical, there are addictions that are habitual. Using these, appears that the research is saying, using these, people are still smokers. They still keep the identity of being a smoker. And it's something that keeps them smoking. There's one more bit I'm going to play you. It's only 60 seconds. This is the hard, cold facts, right? This is what we want to know. Full stop, what we want to know. And you can see that Jenny is very much wanting to get the answer out there of, does the evidence say heated tobacco supports cessation in smoking? So does it work? Does it support cessation in smoking? Because if it doesn't, this is all for naught.
This to you. Is there sufficient independent evidence to support claims that heated tobacco products help reduce smoking rates?
I would argue no, there isn't. I did mention another study that we undertook where we looked at population level data. So we looked, for instance, at the use of heated tobacco products in Japan, where they're very popular. And what we see is as there's an increase in the use of heated tobacco products, there's a decrease in the use of cigarettes. But interestingly enough, there's no association with smoking cessation as such. What it means is that people probably start replacing some of the cigarettes they smoke with heated tobacco products, but they don't necessarily come off cigarettes completely. And that's important because even low-level use of cigarettes has very serious health implications. So, for instance, the greatest risk increase when it comes to smoking cigarettes for cardiovascular disease is going from not smoking a cigarette at all to one cigarette. And, the further increase in risk if you smoke 1 or 10 cigarettes is relatively less important. So it's very important for people to stop smoking completely.
So there you go. So heated tobacco products are more likely to keep people smoking than e-cigarettes. It keeps people looking like, feeling like, having the habits of a smoker. And unless basically you give up smoking, any kind of smoking is going to be detrimental to you. Now, Chewy, I'm also going to play a bit, not right now, we're going to chat now. I'm going to play a bit, which is the story about Casey Costello on One News tonight. But that's the clips from the expert, giving us this research. Happy for you to jump in now. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I just think this is just stacking on and piling up that this is a bullshit clearance product that a big tobacco giant has a monopoly on and keeps getting shut down in other countries because they picked the wrong product.
Yeah.
Like it is just hopefully the dying gasps of a tobacco giant. Yeah.
Cancer-ridden gasps. One of the stranger conversations I saw tonight, and we're going to play it now for you off One News, was we played some stuff yesterday from the Prime Minister who was talking about, we're doing this for 12 months, we're doing this for 12 months. There was actually legislation that passed yesterday that made a whole bunch of these HTPs, the heated tobacco products, illegal. It's almost like the Prime Minister didn't know. And Casey Costello didn't tell him, just like she hasn't told him about her independent research. And TVNZ actually went out to see if they could buy some of these illegal HTP products, and let's pick up the story from there.
There's concern banned heated tobacco devices are still being sold after new rules came into force yesterday. The minister who cut taxes for the smoking gadgets says she remains convinced they can help people quit cigarettes, but continues to feel the heat herself.
Important, right? Because she said quit. She said quit cigarettes. The research that we just heard said you might find some people, smoke less. That's not what she's saying. She's not saying less. She's not saying smoke fewer cigarettes. Less smoking, fewer cigarettes. She's saying quit. So she's made that yardstick, right? Quitting smoking altogether. The research that we've just heard about doesn't say that. It says maybe people will smoke less and replace some of those smoking with the HTP, but it doesn't talk about them quitting cigarettes. So if their place had been, look, if a smoker just smoked one less cigarette, that would be worth it. That's not the yardstick they've set. They've set quit. And so it's important we hold them to that.
Senior political reporter Benedict Collins has developments.
These heated tobacco devices should no longer be on the shelves. Tough new rules to stop youth vaping means devices must now be childproof and have removable batteries. Despite fines of up to $400,000, it's claimed they're still being widely sold.
So it seems that either the stores don't understand the requirements or they're simply not following through and continuing to sell them anyway.
One News went undercover today to see whether we could purchase the now banned device. It didn't take long.
So what did you manage to buy in there?
So what we've bought is one of these IQOS Illuma One vapes, which is the heated tobacco products. So those were the ones that should have been off the shelves yesterday.
The store owner later said they'd been told of the changes and sold it to us by accident.
Right.
To be fair, just yesterday the Prime Minister was publicly talking the products up in the hope they'll help people quit ciggies.
We're going to try it. We're going to try heated tobacco products just for 12 months to see how it goes.
But these now banned devices were the only ones available here.
Casey Costello has made a fool of the Prime Minister.
Labor can't believe the Minister didn't let her boss know.
She's either misled him by not saying about what was really going on with these products, or she's incompetent.
I wasn't aware that they had the products that were on the market were not going to be compliant with the 1st of October changes.
Yeah.
So that's terrifying. That's terrifying. The minister in charge of regulations around smoking and vaping was not aware that these devices were not allowed to be sold. The person in charge was not aware. Incompetence, thy name is?
Or she's incompetent.
I wasn't aware that they had the products that were on the market were not going to be compliant with the 1st of October changes.
Yeah. Well,
So she wasn't aware, Chewy. There was products on the market now, and she wasn't aware there was products on the market that weren't going to be compliant. The person making the rules wasn't aware.
I don't know if I believe that, Pat.
Oh, really?
Because she was asking for an extension on those changes that Labor were bringing in. She wanted to extend that out to give another 12 months of that product before they brought in those rules about removable batteries and childproof things. So she fought against this thing that she's saying that she was unaware of.
Let's do this. Why don't you have a search, see if you can find that story, whilst we go to the end of this story, and we'll see if we can do it. Here we go.
I mean, shouldn't you have been aware of that, though? Because you've just given these heated tobacco products a big tax break, and now they're off the market. I mean, that's kind of your job, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I'm confident that they'll replace with a product that will be compliant.
What leads you to that confidence, Minister? What is the metric you're using to measure whether you have confidence in all of these shops obeying the rules?
Debate about how safe heated tobacco products actually are, and whether they help people quit smoking. The minister says she's seen advice that they are effective.
And that will be released. I mean, that's all. There's no issue with that at all.
Yeah.
And
Can you
this
just,
isn't.
could you tell us now which studies they were?
I don't have. I mean, I can refer it to you. I don't know that off the top of my head.
But it'd be good in order for us to fact check and check
just
out what you're saying.
There is nothing being hidden here. There's nothing being hidden here.
Except for the report. Because you can hide something. So, Chewy, I'm hiding from you what's in my hand right now. This is currently hidden. Doesn't mean I'm not going to show you, but at the moment it's hidden. So there is something that's hidden right now. It's the report. Even if you show us the report, currently it's hidden. That's what the word means.
And it's just what I said, there is nothing being hidden here. There's nothing being hidden here.
But if they're just studies, you can just send us the links or...
Well, yeah, okay, we can keep answering the same question. You will get the information.
We'll let you know when we do. Benedict Collins, One News.
There you go, Chewy. Now you dropped out for some of that.
Product is. Look at how shit that product is. It looks like you're literally just stuffing a normal cigarette into some sort of device.
It does make me think. You can see why people don't lose the vibe of smoking, because it looks like a filter from a cigarette. It looks like you've pushed a cigarette into something and you're smoking a cigarette. So you can because so for your lips it feels like a cigarette. So you can see how people don't then get away from feeling like they're smokers. So I get it. You can see it in the research. You can see it in the imagery.
So you gave me some homework there.
Yeah, do we get anything? I was fact checking you, Chewy, live. We'll do it live.
I was promised that there would not be any fact checking.
That was so funny. We left that out from today's debate. Oh my gosh! Oh, so now we're fact checking, are we? That was very funny. Sorry.
So in this delightful story, vape stores caught selling non-compliant heated tobacco products. Basically, exactly what that. That story we just had is Costello tried to have the regulations delayed for 2 years. However, Cabinet only agreed to a 6-month delay from the original date of 21st of March. So if she's saying that she's unaware of it, then was she unaware of what she was fighting, and was she unaware of the fact that she lost? Does she know where she is right now?
How
many fingers am I holding up?
What is
the phone number for Philip Morris?
Does being a tobacco lobbyist affect cognition? Maybe that's what's happened here. Maybe there's something that's not working out. But there you go, Fano. This is what we do, mate. We'll check the facts, even we'll check ourselves. Correct. So she knew about it in March, and she's forgotten about it now. Good on you, love.